Philip Mantle and myself are being really careful to make sure that you get the facts. If there's something not factual in there, we tell you it's not factual. But we try to show it on both ends, and I think that's the only fair thing to do. Because like everybody else, I'm hunting the truth. I don't know what happened to me that night, October 11th, '73, but kind of like James Allen Hynek said, something happened.
Greetings and welcome to the Vortex. I'm your host, Daniel Allen Jones, and I'm very honored to be back here with Calvin Park.
Hey, it's good to see you again.
Yeah, it's always great to see you here at the events and going around to share about everything that you've come forward with, that you've produced in the book, that you've been sharing about. That has been something I think is really great for people to see now, but it's something that happened long before, this was a big issue, and I think that it's important that people see that you have some things that have never been shared before until your book came out and you've been coming and speaking. And this is a great opportunity for people to understand a little bit more about your experience in a way that hasn't ever been shared before. So what has it been like since your book's been out, you've been speaking around? What's the reception like?
Oh, the reception is great. It's got me wore down pretty much because I stay on the go now, where before I was a complete recluse. I mean, I didn't want to be with nobody or see nobody, didn't have too many friends. I got a few close friends. But since the books came out, I've been on the go for the last year. It came out July of last year, and I made a lot of conferences, done a lot of interviews. So it's just been a busy time. Like right now, we're at the conference in Pheonix, and the people are great here. It's been a good reception here. But it's a lot going on. Since then, we've done a couple of documentaries. We're in the process of writing another book, but we've interviewed numerous eyewitnesses. And when I say eyewitnesses, people that were there that night that seen this thing going on. And I kind of do a background check on them myself. Most of them's legitimate. I had one that I didn't believe too much, but they never made the witness thing, because we just want credible people to come out and to put them in here, and not somebody that just dreams up something and wants their 15 minutes of fame.
Right. It seems like it can be something very challenging for some people to accept when otherwise these very strange and outlandish stories can be hard to understand for some people, and there can be those who might try to take advantage of people who are interested in these subjects, and they want to come forward and say, oh, I had a sighting, but you're there talking to the people who were also there at the time to make sure that you can make sense out of what was seen, what was going on at the time, how it affected your and maybe other people's experiences. And so you've written about this, and you got to really share it in your book, Pascagoula, The Closest Encounter, which also has your name in the title. So tell us a little bit about how it's been to be able to share about the book and what it's like to get responses from people all over these events so far.
I would have figured when we did the book, I said, well, I'll probably sell 10 copies. Phillips wasted his time, the publishers wasted his time even messing with it. But it's been astonishing. It's been on the bestsellers list numerous amount of times. And we're in the process of doing another book now. We was going to do an addition to this book, but it's just too much information that's came out not to do an addition. I mean, it's just better to do another book, because it wouldn't be fair to the people that already has this book.
Right. And it seems like with the people you're getting with and the more information that's surfacing, you and Philip Mantle, the one publishing the material that you've been sharing, it seems like this is a good opportunity to find out a little bit more, and like you said, maybe not just do a revision so that, you know, people with the first copy only have that one, but they can also get this new publication, which is going to come out. What can people expect with this new one that you're going to be having out?
What we do, you know, it's not going to be repetitive of the first book. It's going to continue. And it's just what happened since the first book's come out, like the eyewitness account. Now, it does have a lot of hypnosis accounts in there. Then it's got the Mississippi put a historical marker up, and that's something that's going to be there forever. And I thought that was really quite an honor there for them to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, a historical marker on something like this, and it's going to be there forever. And then, of course, the interview with all the eyewitnesses, and we have some real credible eyewitnesses, and it's more than one, it's several of them. And then there's in the process now, and we're looking at it just to make sure it's legitimate. It's an 8mm film that somebody took just there right after that of the crowd. Now, how legitimate the film and all is now, I don't know, but it's being looked at by professionals, so we will know. And if it's good, we're going to put that in the book. If it's bad, we're going to also put that in the book. You know, we don't think it's nothing to it.
It's just more information that people, they can make up their minds on, but it's good to, I think, include those things. And it's awesome to see that they've gone forward with putting that historical marker in place. I think it's important to acknowledge the history, whether people want to believe it or not. It's something that we really need to look more into and see that we can come forward and say, this is happening. It's not just imaginary, it's something that has affected people's lives just like yourself. And so for people interested in going out and maybe seeing that historical marker, what can you tell them to see where they can go?
It's in Pascagoula, Mississippi, right off Main Street on Lighthouse Point. It's a boat launch there, and they put it by the boat launch so that, and then you can actually look across the river and see the main site where this happened.
Right.
And it's neat, and I've been wanting to get a set of these big field glasses and put up so they can see. Because the site where this happened is still dangerous, it's still abandoned, and they didn't want to take a chance of someone getting hurt over there. So they decided to put it there where you could see the site from across the river. Plus, that's where a lot of the eyewitnesses have seen it from across the river.
Right.
Where this place is. And they're putting it in. I know I'm taking a little criticism for some of the eyewitnesses coming forward, but that's like I tell them, I'm looking for answers myself. I don't know the answers. If I knew them, you know, I wouldn't be looking at eyewitnesses and I wouldn't have done this book. The purpose for this book is to get the truth out. And to me, the truth, it don't matter which way it goes. It could go bad, it could go sour, or it could come around and really prove what we've done. But I don't care what people think. I just want the truth.
Yeah, I think that's what we need to see more of, is that you don't just want to cater towards what people want to hear. You just need to tell it like it is, and I think you do a great job of that. I think one of the best attributes that you possess and the qualities that you're demonstrating here and sharing about your account is something you shared a while back with me, is that your partner in crime there with you in the boat had also come forward many years before, and they wrote a book and everything as well.
Right.
But you never really dived into that to so as to protect your own experience and not to really get distracted with maybe what they interpreted as their experience. And I think that says a lot, because then you can kind of gauge the things that they experienced and what you had happen as well, and see, okay, well, what lines up, what doesn't. And I think it shows a lot about how authentic this really was for you, both of you.
It's very authentic. And you know, I've never read his book to this day. And it caused us quite a bit of trouble between us, him going public with this, because I didn't even want to go public. and I wouldn't be public right now, but the issue was kind of forced on me. Uh, when I did the book, I really didn't want to do it, but I'm a firm believer too in karma, and I think if you do what's right, then good stuff will come around to you. Now, everybody says, well, you in this for the money. Well, I want to tell them it's not money in this. It actually costs money to go out and investigate this and spend time in it, make these trips.
It's an investment.
It's an investment, what it is. Now, we do have some nibbles. They're actually doing a screenplay for documentaries and movies, and they're working on it. And I have to, just next week, I got to do the finished product on the screenplay. But myself, I have refused 3 of them myself. And then if it ever does go to the movie, I'm going to hold the rights to edit their screenplay before they get it. So, you know, this is a real serious thing for me. And it's a chance for me to get the answers that I've been looking for 45, 50 years. And I could care less what people think. I could care less how it turns out. The only thing I want is how the truth turns out. And if I make a little money doing it, then what the hell, I'm going to try to make a little bit, because I give most of my money back to my community, and I do charitable stuff all I can. So my living's made. I ain't doing this for the money.
I think it's very honorable, and it's something that many people think, you know, when we're dealing with UFOs or other strange subjects, there are people who seem to think that it's all about writing books and making money, but like you said, it's really more about putting your own effort, time, money, resources into furthering our own understanding and doing what we can to connect with people and see what we can do to work together, and not just try to, you know, make money off of people, because it's not really like that.
No.
Altogether, it's something we're trying to do as a community, furthering our knowledge and our understanding of what's happening in our reality and our world.
Well, I've just found out during these conferences and all that have come to these conferences, nobody's in this really for the money. Everybody wants the truth. Now, you really reach out to some far out people sometimes. They good people though, and there's some of them that's really kind of unbelievable to me. But you know, most of them I do believe, and they had something that happened and some kind of experience, and you know, this gives them a chance when they come to these conferences, kind of share it. Everybody I've met here has been so sincere about everything. And it's like a little city or a community when you come. Everybody watches after each other and takes care of each other. And if you got a problem, you know, you go to somebody else and they get it fixed for you. But
Yeah.
I've been enjoying my little tour. For the last year since the books came out, I've made several of these conferences. I've made all kind of media in the news. I've been on Fox News. I've been at probably as many news stations as what it was when I first started.
Right.
Got a couple of documentaries out. But what I like about it, I've met a lot of people. And I've seen just since in the last year, since this turning around and the public getting involved, and you see a lot of the History Channel now, Ancient Alien, and you see them coming forth, the government starting to come forth a little bit with some of their stuff. So I think within the next few years, there's going to be a big break in all this, and it's going to be revealed that this really is here. Now, why they want to cover it up, I don't know. The government wants to, but, you know, it's probably something they needed to. Somebody asked me a question the other day. They said, how can you explain how what you've seen is different from a lot of pictures that I've seen and what everybody else sees? I said, well, let's take it in realistic terms, something you can think about. Back in the Apollo missions, Kennedy, or the United States and Russia was in a race to go to the moon. We both wanted to be there. The United States had their craft or spaceships or rockets, and Russia had their rockets. Just depending on who got there first. Well, if we got there first, it meant just say it was life on the moon, which we know it's not right now. But if we had got there first, we'd been a totally different culture and looked different than what the Russians would, and been acting different toward them. Now, if Russia had got there first, they have a different looking craft, and the people there speak different languages, and they look different. And if they crossed them, they would have probably shot them. So that tells the good from the bad. I mean, I think it's that these are like the earth. You know, you got so many different races on the earth. You got good people, you got bad, you got different cultures, and they look different than each other. And I don't judge any culture. I mean, I just leave everybody alone, want them pretty much to leave me alone.
Right.
So
I think it's interesting to see the variety of information that we have coming out. Like you said, there's so much happening in the media, and then with the pressure on the government to bring this forward, or maybe to hold some things back. It's important to have people like you, Calvin, who are willing to put yourself out there and to share about your experience, hopefully bringing others to come forward and say, you know what, I've never said anything, but I also experienced this. And I think it's a really courageous thing for you to do. So, you know, we appreciate you coming out to be able to allow for us to have this opportunity to understand more.
Thank you. I didn't know how well this was going to be accepted. And especially there in my hometown, I figured by now I would have been run out of town.
Oh, yeah.
But
look, you helped to get them acknowledging, and now they've got the historical marker.
Oh, yeah.
It's wonderful.
And Rebecca Davis on Main Street, she's actually the one that has got me started. She has book signings and things. The first book signing we had, they shut off all that street in Pascagoula. We had thousands of people come to buy a book.
Wow.
And just to talk and want to meet me. And, you know, I'm not used to all that stuff. But I took my time, and I made sure that each and everybody, I wanted to shake their hand and hear the story, what they had to say. And they waited in line for hours out there just to get a chance to speak a little bit. And then I got up and gave a little speech, and for some reason, they just wouldn't let me stop, you know. They just kept on. And I'm real appreciative of that. The dedication of the marker. I mean, the mayor from Pascagoula came down, and he's the one that announced the dedication. We had a doctor there that paid for the marker and all, and the plaque. And he paid for it with his own money. And then we had people like Rebecca Davis promoting it and working all this up and putting a lot of work and effort. Now, in October, and we was going to do it on the anniversary, October 11th, but for some reason it crashes with Pascagoula's main schedule because it's not on a certain day. But on the 18th this year is when we're going to do it. And they're going to shut the streets down in Pascagoula, and we're going to have a fun day, and families is going to come out, they're going to cook, they're going to enjoy it. I'm going to be there signing a few books and all. And then on the 19th, they're having a barbecue cook-off, and they've asked me to come and judge the cook-off.
Oh, great.
And I hate to do it because there's so many good cooks there that,
yeah.
you know, it's going to be hard, but somebody's got to take the beating on it.
Yeah, well, that sounds like a great time. It's good to see that they're embracing something which otherwise many places might be closed off to. So thank you for being able to help establish something which is bringing the community together. I think that's what we need when we're dealing with something like this, is to acknowledge, embrace, and help to provide support for this type of thing in a way that it's not ridiculing and people don't feel like they are going to be ridiculed or lose friends and family or jobs. So this is good to see.
You don't know how many people, especially on our eyewitnesses, that's come forward that said, you know, we would have said something before now, but we knew what it was like. You know, we figured we'd be ridiculed and called crazy and all. And since you come out and took the main bump for it, you know, we're more than glad to come out and talk and stand up and be a man about it with you. And you don't know how much I appreciate that. My community has stood behind me in the city of Pascagoula, the whole Mississippi Gulf Coast. I couldn't ask for to be treated anywhere in this world. And I've actually, since then, there's people actually camped out of my driveway at night just to want to talk to me the next morning. And we wake up, I had to put security cameras up and alarms. But I woke up one night and I walked out on the back steps out of my den. I got a back porch, and I heard somebody snoring, and somebody was back there in my swing asleep.
Oh, wow.
And I woke up, I said, "What the heck you doing here? Get up, get out." And he said, "I got to talk to you, Mr. Parker. I waited out here. I'm sorry." So I took time. I sat him down. We went in and made some coffee and offered to fix him something to eat. And we sat in and talked. And it wasn't like he was homeless or nothing. I mean, he just wanted to talk for a few minutes. And then people show up all the time. How they get my address, I don't know. I guess the internet, the social media. Then I've had the police department call and say, "Well, could I send somebody over to see you? Will that be okay?" I said, "Sure, that'll be fine." And everybody has a good, what I feel like is a legitimate story. Now, there's been a couple come that it's just been hard for me, a hard pill for me to swallow to believe them. But I don't criticize them, I don't knock them down, because where I was 45 years ago, you know, it would be hard for anybody to believe that too.
Right.
But since they've been investigating this and coming around, back in the 1800s and the late 1800s, they found an article in the newspaper that came out where something was spotted. Now back then they didn't have media or nothing, they just had the newspaper.
Yeah.
They interviewed 500 people that seen the same thing come across in the same spot where Charlie and I had got abducted.
Really?
So that's amazing. I'm fixing to dig the paper up. I've been wanting to read it. And I did have a copy on the internet, and I forgot what website it was on. It's been so much come through. But I want to read that paper and see if there's any of them witnesses. I know they probably won't be alive now, but maybe some of their families will.
Yeah, I think it's good part of the history to see that this is not just an isolated incident, but this has been an ongoing thing for many years, and it's probably part of our history for a very long time. And it's something that we might be able to see in some of the future material coming out, like this next book you have.
Yeah, and the library, this is documented in the library where I even got a copy of this. They've been really good about helping do research and pull up. And not only that library, they put on a big book sign in there for me, and they carry their books, this book in the library. And all the coastal cities down there carry the book. And I haven't been able to get around all of them yet because I've been really busy.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm planning on that.
Well, you've been making the rounds quite a bit, and so it's great to be able to have you involved in this way. For those who are interested in getting the book that you've had out now, or looking forward to this new publication coming out soon, where would you like for them to go to check that out?
They could go to Amazon. Now, the new one coming out, and it should be released next week. And the only thing we're waiting for is to legitimize that film. If it's legitimate, we're going to put it in there that it is and make available, you know, disc somewhere. If it's not, we're going to tell you, you know, this thing's not legitimate. We had it checked out by an expert. But 8mm film is hard to mess with. You'd have to cut it and tape it, do all that, and that's what we haven't checked out. But the new book is going to be Pascagoula, the story continues, and that's just a follow-up on the other one. And it's not going to be so much about the abduction, it's going to be the afterwards, and it's a lot of information in there. And then we got the first one, Pascagoula, closest encounter, my story, I forget the name of it.
And then Calvin Parker. Right?
Calvin Parker, yeah.
You can always go and just, if you're searching for that, you've got your books on Amazon, and I'm sure that with the publishing that Philip Mantle's been helping with, it's
Right.
going to be on there as well, and it's something that is going to be a good companion to the first book, which will have all the information about the abduction experience, and then this new one sounds like it's going to really get into the history and the things that have been going on more recently.
Right. And it's a deep history in around, especially the Mississippi Gulf Coast. I know they got the legend of the Singing River where the Indians were starving and they marched off in there and drowned themselves. And every now and then they say you can hear them. Of course, we're not really touching on that too much, but the screenplay writer named the screenplay after that because he got so involved and hooked up in it. Then he started concentrating more on that than he did the book. But anyhow, there's a lot coming out. Philip Mantle and myself are being really careful to make sure that you get the facts. If there's something not factual in there, we tell you it's not factual. But we try to show it on both ends, and I think that's the only fair thing to do. Because like everybody else, I'm hunting the truth. I don't know what happened to me that night, October 11th, '73, but kind of like James Allen Hynek said, something happened. And we also, yesterday for the first time, I met Paul Hynek. I had been talking to him some on the phone. That's James, for those of you who don't know, that's James Allen Hynek's son. And he was a great person, and he was telling me stories about his dad used to come in and talk about this case to him. And actually his dad helped on Dr. He was over Project Blue Book, and he helped on this movie, Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Right.
But it was such a pleasure to talk to Paul yesterday, and he is just a great, outstanding. I guess that whole family's geniuses. You know, he showed on his presentation where they got in the backyard, the kids had built a jet engine.
Oh, well, yeah.
This was back.
Yeah.
And just things like that. So, you know, that was a pleasure and a big honor for me to meet him.
Yeah. Well, I think it's great to be able to have these people come together and to see that it's a community effort. No one has all the answers, but if we work together, we'll be able to figure more of this stuff out. So with people who are just finding out about things like your experience or when
Right.
it comes to UFOs or any of these types of things, if they have had an experience but they're not sure what to do or where to go, what would you say is a send-off to those who are looking to do something or make sense of an experience or something that they've had happen to them?
The first thing they need to do while it's fresh on their mind, sit down, either write, videotape yourself, document everything they can. Don't be afraid to go to the law enforcement or to call somebody. There's plenty of people you can Google online and they would be interested, such as yourself. I mean, you would be more than glad to talk to some of them.
Right.
And there's plenty of experts out there. But do document everything and write it down. Don't be afraid to be ridiculed. Who cares what people think? I don't care.
If Calvin can do it, you can do it.
Exactly right. I lived 45 years a recluse. I wouldn't even hardly talk to nobody. Now I'm up standing on stage, giving presentations, and talking to people. People I've never seen before walk up and like this morning at breakfast, we had to shut down breakfast just to visit with a few people. And, you know, that's not my way, but I'm after the truth just like everybody else. I've just found out here recently my health's not real good, and I'd like to know it before my little expiration date popped up. Who wouldn't want to know what's going on? I have nothing to hide. I mean, it's kind of like Jesse Marcel said when I went and talked to him. He was on his deathbed. He had nothing to hide from nobody. The man was dying. And he told me that was legitimate and all in Roswell. So, you know, it's kind of the same way with me. I'm not letting people judge me no more, and I don't care what they say about me, as long as they leave my family out of it.
Right. You have to be respectful of that, of course.
Right.
And so we really appreciate you taking the time to be able to be involved in this way and help with your presence encourage others to be able to feel okay about coming forward or being able to communicate with something otherwise that's really challenging to deal with in the process in a way that, you know, some people don't have an outlet for. So,
Right.
Calvin, it's been great to be able to have you do
It's
this
been
for us.
great. And you know, they also have MUFON they can contact.
Right.
MUFON will send investigators out to talk to them. But yeah, it's been my privilege to be here and to be with you today. Thank you.
Calvin, it's been an
Thank
honor.
you so much.
I'd like to think that we are making new discoveries every day and that we need to work together to find out what's next, and we won't know if we don't go. So we've
Right.
been there helping connect the dots, getting people in the community involved, and it's been incredible. So appreciate you doing it.
The
And we'll
main
see
thing
you.
I'm doing is getting people to open up about something that might have happened to them.
It's what
and-
we need to see.
And if it didn't happen to them, I'm getting them interested. Want to get them where they will look and pay attention and be interested in it.
That's what we need to have happen, is bring the community together and to see how we can further our understanding. So again, Calvin, thank you very much,
Thank you.
and we'll see you in the Vortex.
If you liked this video, be sure to check out our other content and get connected on our page and social media sites. Every day, new discoveries are being made all across the world and beyond, so let's work together to find out what's next. And remember, we won't know if we don't go. I'll see you in the Vortex.